Welcome back to this week's video. Here at Teiko, we're aiming to make cytometry simple for drug developers, and we planned our 2025 pricing updates with this in mind. In this video, I'm going to explain everything that you need to know about our new consolidated pricing options for mass cytometry, spectral flow cytometry, and our custom panel development. Now, let's get into some of the details. As a review, Teiko is an end-to-end cytometry solution that covers everything from sample collection to panel design to high-quality analysis. We process both whole blood fixed with our Toku kit and cryopreserved PBMCs. For panel design, we offer both off-the-shelf CLIA-validated panels and custom ones that are able to detect 800-plus immune cell populations and functional subsets. For our data analysis tiers, I'll touch on the specifics later, but you'll be able to receive all your cytometry results in an online dashboard. Raw files, gating trees, multi-group statistical tests, UMAP, and more. Now, for our analysis tier updates, we wanted to make the decision-making process for choosing a service simpler for drug developers. Prior to our updates, we had 3 services: Base, Core, and Premier. Base provided drug developers with access to raw data files. Core provided gating performed by our team of scientists, statistical analysis of this gated data, PCA, and other tools, and Premier unlocked unsupervised clustering tools such as UMAP in addition to the previous features. With our pricing updates, we've consolidated our service to roll Base into our Core offering, and we're able to cut prices while we've been at it. So, what do you get? With Core, you'll get FCS and gating ML files, a report with cell population and functional subset data tables, and statistical analysis of manually gated data. To the right, you'll see an example of the statistical analysis you'd get on your dashboard. No more digging through spreadsheets to find statistically significant data. Instead, use the tabs above to use dose, time point, or response as the baseline for comparison, filter to display cell types of interest, or by false discovery rate cutoffs. For pricing, Core will now be $17.50 per specimen for both mass and spectral flow. For Premier, you'll get everything from Core plus a suite of unsupervised clustering features. Want to visualize important cell populations and subsets that manual gating would miss? Visualize these results on UMAP, heat maps, and more within your dashboard. To the right, you'll see an example of a UMAP that you might see on your dashboard. Here, you can visualize cell clusters with similar marker expression with the ability to filter cluster colors by time point, dose, or response. For pricing, Premier will now be $2,500 per specimen for both mass and spectral flow. To get into the details of project specs, we have an order minimum of 20 samples. Then, on a per cohort basis, we run cohorts of at least 20 samples. So, if you have 100 samples, then you'll be able to batch your specimens and run them in up to 5 cohorts if needed. For 500 samples, you're looking at up to 25 cohorts. 20% of your project fee is due at signing, and for large projects, we're able to offer scaled discounts. Now, if you're looking to profile markers that aren't currently included in one of our off-the-shelf panels, we have an option for custom panel development for our mass cytometry service. With this, you have the option of adding a single marker to our 41 marker backbone panel. This works well if you're looking for a detailed understanding of your drug's mechanism of action, but you need an additional marker that's specific to your drug. If you're looking to profile additional markers, you also have the option to add 2 to 10 custom markers to our 33 marker backbone panel. In terms of panel verification, for each custom marker you'd like to add to the panel, we perform a comprehensive verification study. We detailed this process in last week's video, but at a high level, we perform a 6-point titration to determine the optimal antibody concentration for staining, evaluating the staining index, spillover into nearby channels, and the frequencies of positive and negative populations that occur during gating. From this, you'll receive a report detailing the chosen marker and antibody clone, the concentration of the stock, as well as what was used for staining, and the chosen metal and channel for the panel. We'll provide an example gating scheme for the optimal concentration on an in-house control sample, as well as the plots for showing positive and negative populations for functional markers. In terms of pricing, custom panel development starts at $15,000 for the addition of a single marker. After the panel is developed, sample analysis is $1,750 or $2,500 per specimen, depending on your analysis tier, Core, or Premier. Turnaround time for development is 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the scope of your development. We want you to be able to move forward quickly and confidently with analyzing samples for your trial. For an exercise, it might be helpful to run through some scenarios of determining the right service for your project's needs. Say you're a translational scientist looking to profile fixed whole blood samples for your CAR-T program. It's a phase 1 trial, and you have 100 samples, which you want to profile using mass cytometry. However, after looking at Teiko's 41 marker panel, you realized you'd still need an anti-CAR antibody to understand if your drug is working. In this case, you could add a marker to a custom panel with Teiko. You'd still get the detailed understanding of your patient's immune state with the backbone panel, but you'd also be able to measure CAR-T activation. This allows you to have the results you need without the hassles of running multiple panels, wasting additional precious samples, or comparing irreproducible results from various providers. Great. So now it's about 2 weeks later and you have your custom panel validated. You can move forward with processing, but what analysis tier should you pick? Say you're missing a biostatistician on your team and everyone else has been really overrun with digging through millions of rows of cytometry data in your spreadsheets. What service would work for you? In this case, you could go with our core analysis tier. You wouldn't have to worry about processing samples and performing the analysis yourselves. Instead, anyone on your team could just log into Teiko's dashboard to see statistically significant changes in cell population or functional marker frequencies. They could look at PCA charts to determine drivers of response just at a glance, or they could download the raw files and perform any additional analysis they'd like on their own. Or, in another case, say your candidate really is pushing the boundaries of the field. There really might not be a lot of empirical knowledge on your drug's MOA, so important cell types might actually be missed by manual gating schemes. By going with Premier, you'd get the statistical results for the manually gated data, but you'd also be able to compare it to results captured by unsupervised clustering. Premier can put important tools in your toolbox so that you can move forward with confidence in your candidate. Not to mention, you'd be profiling 100 samples, so you'd likely qualify for a tier discount. That concludes our pricing updates for the new year. If you've made it this far, it seems like you might have a project lineup and could be looking for a cytometry provider. I'd love to set up a time to discuss the details more, so I've linked my LinkedIn in the description. Feel free to reach out or contact us via our website. As always, we'll be back next week with more cytometry insights, so be sure to subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn to stay up to date.